All right, here we are, episode 22 of the Vegan Bikini Prep Diaries, and we are your host. I'm Brooke, and I'm here with my co-host, Belinda. Belinda, how are you? What's up?
Hey, everybody. I am doing just fine. Episode 22. I am so excited to be here. Brooke and I are I'm deep into my off-season reverse, and Brooke is just getting started. Is this 2 weeks post-show now?
Like a week and a half.
Week and a half. Okay. All right, my dear. So, how's it going with all of that?
Yeah, it's definitely been tough. I had full intentions of like having an awesome reverse this year, but as we talked about, I got hit with a whole lot of life. So like I've just been navigating a lot of like emotional distress. So that makes making the right food choices harder. And then not only that, but I had like a big transition. So I moved back in with my parents, and they are not bodybuilders. Okay. So there is lots of really good food around all the time. So I imagine I probably would have done a lot better with my reverse had I been like at my house, my bodybuilder house, and if I had had like a supportive partner. But that's not really what happened. So anyways, I'm just doing the best I can. I've won some days I haven't, but I feel like each day I get a little bit better. And yeah, I'm just really trying to, at first I was like really trying to follow my prep diet, and I realized that was just making things worse. So now I'm like, okay, let's not be super strict, because then that just makes me, want to go off plan even more. So I've just been working treats into my macros, like just, little things that I want, and that feels a lot better. So my coach bumped my macros up to around 1,500 calories. So I've got some more carbs. I have 140 grams of carbs. I got a little bit more fat, 35 grams of fat. It goes very fast though. It goes really fast. So
living the dream, kind of. So
yeah,
I think you're doing the best you can. I've been there with you every step of the past 10 days. And honestly, like I keep telling you, you're doing really a lot better than you think you are. I've said this on past episodes. I'll say it again. Reverse dieting and bodybuilding is when you leave contest prep, your body has been in such a deficit for so long. You have to exit the deficit as strategically as possible, because your body isn't used to all of that food and not as much cardio. And that's called the reverse diet phase. And that's where Brooke's at now. I finished mine, I guess, because I'm about 8 weeks post show. So I'm towards the end of that danger zone. They say the first 6 weeks are the hardest. So I passed through that. You're doing the best you can. Listen, life is throwing you a curveball right now. You're just doing the best you can. I think as long as you more or less like keep a protein target in your head, that will be better than not. And just be mindful of the fats and the sugars. Try and keep them around your leg days. You know how it goes. It's so funny when you said it was your intention to have a perfect reverse, or whatever you said. We'd have to go back like 6 episodes, but wasn't that almost verbatim what I said on mine?
I guess everybody's though. Like we all want to have a good reverse diet. It's not like anybody wants to like blow it, right? And then like be, like a whale, like just 2 weeks after their show. But it's just, you just got to do the best you can.
We all have the best intentions, and Brooke and I, we are 2 Aquarius planners, and we love to talk about our future plans all of the time. And we're not so strict with them that we can't change them, but we just like to talk in hypotheticals all the time. And we're both thinking that we start prep in January-ish, which is essentially around the corner. So I keep telling Brooke, like, don't be too hard on yourself, Brooke, because if we start prep in January, that's in like 16 less than 16 weeks.
Oof.
And we
Oh
know how fast that goes by. So, before you know it, that MyFitnessPal is going to be back up and revved on your phone and logging. And so just do the best you can right now. That's all you can do, man. And don't be too hard on yourself. You're doing the best you can. But I know this is like your second truest reverse because your first season was kind of like a really long one, right? So as long as you could say that you're doing better than the last time, that's honestly all that matters, really. And I would think you're doing better than your first reverse, right?
Yeah, it took me a long time to get my shit together after that season, and I got really sick. So like I didn't even really get to reverse diet. I had to like immediately go into this like very restrictive low FODMAP diet to like treat my illness. And just, yeah, so I mean this has definitely been better. And I mean you really helped me too, because like you're like, I see where you're at now, and I know kind of like how you did with your food over like the past like 8 weeks or so. And like you look fabulous, you look great. So
Oh,
I
thanks,
don't,
man.
I'm like, okay, Belinda did it. I can do it. It's not a big deal. Like it, like, like we're very similar. So I'm like, okay, Belinda looks fine. She ended up being fine. Like she didn't blow up 50 pounds. So I'm going to be fine too. Like it's not a big deal.
Yeah, I did. I'll plug in a photo. I'll plug in that selfie you sent me from the gym today, and I'll plug in like what I've been looking like too. Listen, I'm probably 5% body fat more than I was my stage body fat, but that's like normal. I mean, I'm not supposed to be that lean. So it's okay. It really it's okay. Do I miss how I looked? Of course I do. Is the body dysmorphia out of control? Absolutely. But I keep like slapping myself and reminding myself that like the whole world are not bodybuilders. Like I see myself is not accurate, and I should just remember the big picture, that I'm healthy and fit and have a good BMI or whatever you want to call that, and I'm doing just fine. Could I have been a little better? Probably, but again, I really have had it in my head that prep might start soon, especially for me, because there's a high likelihood that I'm going to start in December, at least like eating totally to my macros and cleaning up my whatever non-clean things I'm doing. I'm going to try and clean up my act in December and get a head start on my 2026. So that's going to be in the blink of an eye. So I just keep telling myself that. And honestly, like I haven't really had binging issues. It's just been that granola. It's been a problem, but I think it passed because actually yesterday I didn't eat any of the granola. So I think I've moved on, I guess, though I did have a little bit today because I remembered that I didn't have any yesterday. So I wanted to have some today, but it's okay. Like I just try and eat it close to my workout as sort of like a pre-workout, and it's fine. But yeah, for people that don't know, that don't follow me online, or like just tuning into this episode, how I've done my reverse the past 2-ish months or so. August, I didn't track anything. I just sort of hit my protein target in my head, and I ate my carbs and my fats. I let them fall where they may. And in September so far, I've been trying to be like a little bit more diligent, but more so that I'm trying to eat more because I'm in a build phase right now. And so I am, as Brooke knows, because I'm a little nutty and I tell her everything. Every day I'm struggling to eat the amount I'm supposed to, which is I'm trying to get to 2,600 calories. And I know it sounds like very first world problems, and they are, but these are bodybuilder things, guys, not like average person. 2,600 calories of vegan macro eating is really not easy. Like, it's a lot of healthy vegan food, and you reach a point where you're like, eat anymore. But I'm trying. I really am. I bought some new like spices and things for my pantry, and tomorrow I plan on making up some new meal prep things. So I'm just going to give my meal prep like a spin, and hopefully that will help. But anyway, we're doing all right. Brooke's hanging in there. She's doing okay, and onward and upward. And you got this, man. As long as you don't order a pizza every day, I think you're going to be fine.
Yeah, your weakness is the granola. My weakness has just been like bread, because man, my carbs got so low. So I feel like bagels. I ate so many bagels the last week, and I had so much sourdough bread. But yeah, it's all good. It's all good. Luckily, I just put like a lot of stuff that tempted me in the garage. So like I have to like make a lot of effort to like go out there and get it if I really want it. So
yeah, you're doing the best you can. Truly,
yeah.
like, you've been going through a lot, man, and give
Yeah.
yourself some grace. And honestly, like, next year, when we prep, Brooke and I both have to be leaner than last time. And
Yes.
so as Brooke has said many episodes when we were deep in contest prep, that it's all gotta go. So next year, like, no matter where we start our preps, it's all gotta go. So don't think about it too much. You know, it's all good. This is a journey for everybody, right? So
Yes.
all right, so those are the updates. We have a theme for today, and the theme is, are you ready to compete? And this theme is for any gym girlies that are listening to us that do not compete as bodybuilders, but are curious about it, interested in it, and ask themselves, could I do this? Should I do this? Am I ready to do this? So that's what we're going to talk about today. Brooke and I were both this person once. Why don't you, I can't remember, remind me, how did you transition from gym girl to first contest prep? What happened? Like, did somebody tell you you should compete? Did you see a competitor? Like, what made you want to do this?
Yeah, so I had been training and tracking my food for many, many years. Like, I would say probably 6 years before I ever decided to compete. Like, I was consistent in the gym. Like, I never probably took more than 2 weeks off of the gym in 6 years. And I had tracked all my food, my protein. I had spent many years in a surplus before I ever decided to compete. But I had many people tell me, you know, you should compete. Like, you would be really competitive. You would probably do really well. But I always felt like I could never do the diet. So I didn't for many years pursue it. But I say all that to say I had a really good foundation going into it my first year, because I had spent a long time building muscle and being consistent. So none of that was new to me. But yes, I saw the wellness category. And that's really what got me wanting to compete, because, you know, for a while, Bikini was nothing like it is now. They were very tiny. They're still tiny, but even more tiny. So I really wasn't interested in doing it. But then when I saw wellness, I was like, oh, wow, that's amazing. Like, those are amazing physiques. And I'm talking about early wellness, not wellness what it is today.
I hear you.
So it was a lot more feminine when it first started. And I was, again, in a super toxic relationship. I think I've talked about that on here before. And I had brought up the idea that I wanted to compete, and it was a huge issue. He told me I absolutely couldn't do it. There was no way I'd be able to get on stage in a bikini, show everybody my stuff, you know, so it was a big issue. And then when I finally left that relationship, I just said, I'm going to do all the things that he told me I couldn't do. And one of those was competing. And it wasn't really to win. It really wasn't for anything, even for my business. Like, it was literally just because I wanted to get my life back after a really hard traumatic year. So yeah, that's how I got into competing, and I absolutely loved it. I loved my first season. I had a lot of fun. So I fell in love with it. Yeah.
Right. Yes, you've spoken about that on here, and I remember. So for me, I think I've said this as well, but I'll say it again. So I was powerlifting, and I had a powerlifting coach. So I had already been coached for a while, going on maybe a year or two. I think I was with that powerlifting coach, or a year. I think I was with him a year. I had been coached before that as well, just general lifestyle, coaching, macros, training. Like you, I had been extremely consistent for probably 5 years or so, and 5 years with training, and never taking any time off the gym ever. And I think in 5 years, I maybe took a week off twice for maybe when I moved. Then the powerlifting coach said to me, "You are in like the wrong strength sport. You should be a bodybuilder. You're incredibly disciplined." Because I had my logbook and I'd write everything down. That's when I was starting to learn about macros. So this was like 2018-ish, 2019 or so. And I was really learning about vegan sports nutrition. And I had already been working on my nutrition for a while, but that's when I was really honing in on macros. And so I switched to bodybuilder type training. His girlfriend was a bikini competitor. She was in prep, and I thought it was amazing. And I was really inspired, and I was like, I would love to do that. And with all of my consistency at the gym and being really in shape at that point, I was one of the fittest people, like in my, females at the gym. And I wasn't a bodybuilder or anything yet, just a gym girl, right? Like you, consistent. And I'd been building muscle for a while, more so strength, not necessarily hypertrophy, but you know what I'm trying to say. I asked her if she thought I could compete. She said, yeah, you could do it. She didn't warn me about all the things we're about to warn you guys about. And I jumped into a pre-prep, and I did a pre-prep for 8 months. So what is a pre-prep? Some coaches will put you into a pre-contest prep to get you used to the bodybuilder lifestyle. So I had weekly check-ins. I had a macro plan from her. I had a cardio assignment. It was prep style. Just of course not as extreme as a real contest prep. And that year, so this is 2021, I spent the whole year learning how to be a bodybuilder. Really dialing in on my nutrition to a level that I hadn't quite done before. Pre-prep, really. And I would have to say that is a very useful thing. Anyone that is interested in competing, I would recommend that you consider doing a pre-prep for several months before you actually do a contest prep if you've never been coached before, just so you can kind of get used to all of this stuff. Standing in front of the mirror every week, weighing in, taking your measurements, taking photos, starting to analyze your body to that extent, because that's what being a bodybuilder is. So I was in a pre-prep for 2021, and I started prep in 2022. Like Brooke, we started competing the same year. So that's like my origin story with it. So we broke down different categories of things to consider before you start. So why don't we start with muscle mass and years training?
Yeah.
So go.
This one I think
is the mic. Yeah.
Yeah, I think this one is pretty straightforward in a way, guys, you got to have something to judge up there because, like you're going to rip all your body fat off. And if you don't have a lot of muscle, there's nothing to judge. So you really need to make sure that you have spent some time building muscle. Like a prep is like the part of prep, like where you're cutting and you're getting ready for stage, like that is just to reveal all the muscle that you've already built. Like me and
Correct.
Belinda are not building muscle in prep. We are not
Correct.
building muscle. The goal in prep is just to keep what muscle you have.
That's right.
Hopefully it doesn't wither away. But yeah, so and both of us, we had that commonality where we had been training for years and years. So it set us up for a good first season.
That's right.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people underestimate just how much muscle you need to not look like a string bean on a bodybuilding stage. So yeah, definitely, I think make sure that you spent enough time building muscle so that you actually have something that can be judged up there. You don't want to just jump into a prep if you're just getting started on your fitness journey. You need to build the muscle first.
3 to 5 years of consistency. Consistent means 3 to 4, 5 times a week for a few years on end. Not 2 times a month here, every other week here. I'm talking like pure consistency for years on end before you even think about starting a contest prep. Because in contest prep, you have to show up. You can't take time off. You can't. It doesn't work that way. So first of all, you need a few years of consistent training in the gym to build the actual muscle. Okay, yes. So that's number 1. Okay, now let's go to experience with dieting.
Yes, another good one. Yeah, so definitely would not recommend if this is the first time you've ever stuck to a diet for an extensive amount of time, not like 2 weeks before you go on a vacation, not like a 30-day challenge. Like we're talking like me and Belinda were in prep almost half the year. Like this is not the first time that you want to experiment with going into a prolonged deficit, a deep cut, because it's not for the weak. I mean, it's hard, and your body is just biologically going to fight you, especially towards the end. And you want to be prepared. You want to know what you're getting into. You also want to be familiar with tracking too. Like I think tracking your food, or I mean, maybe, I guess some people follow meal plans, but either or, like you need to have some experience adhering to a diet, whether that's a meal plan or whether that's macros. I think it's really important to go into a prep having some experience adhering to a plan for an extended amount of time, because the last thing that you want to do is do really, really good for like 10 weeks and then you're about to, turn the corner and be stage ready, and then you blow it before your show. That's right. So yeah, I think it's really important. And the thing is with contest prep, me and Belinda have said this all year, it's like you get to a point where every meal matters. So like macros matter, calories matter, protein matters. It's not just like eating intuitively. So yeah, I think that is a good point too. You need to have some experience with adhering to a plan.
Mm-hmm. Would you put a number of weeks or number of months the person should adhere to a meal plan, adding in the caveat of no outside food?
Contest prep, you're probably looking at 20 weeks. So, I mean, right. I would say 20 weeks.
So minimum. For me, and I know you've coached a few prep clients. I don't coach currently, and I do not prep coach currently. If I was a prep coach, I would probably not let anybody start contest prep until they have committed once in their life to 8 to 12 weeks of cutting with no outside food. because your first contest prep is probably going to be usually 5 or 6 months, sometimes longer, 6 to 8 months, depending on how much body fat you have to lose. If you've never gone more than 2 months without eating, you know, an Impossible Burger and fries every weekend, you're not ready. Why are you not ready? Because the amount of discipline that is required to do a contest prep is next level. There's a reason why powerlifters don't look like bodybuilders. There's a reason why Olympic gold medalists, Olympic lifters do not look like bodybuilders. There's reasons for all of that. There's a reason why CrossFitters don't look like bodybuilders. It is the diet. Like, the sport is 80% diet, truly. And you have to master that before you make this commitment. Could you tell yourself that you'll do it? I guess so, but I don't know.
I think the biggest problem with that one too is like post show, because there's no goalposts. Like, it's done, it's over with. And if you've never had to come out of a deficit before, like, I see a lot of people, like actually I know people personally, you know, who like their first diet was their contest prep. They had never done a diet before. They were like doing a contest prep to gain that discipline. Like, that was their intention. Oh, I'm going to do this so I can build the discipline to, you know, eat right and eat healthy. And those people, oftentimes, I won't say everybody, but I will say oftentimes, maybe like 8 out of 10, those people spiral post-show because,
Correct.
and even the best of us, like me and Belinda, this isn't our first rodeo. We've competed before, and we knew what to expect post-show. I knew I was going to be a ravenous animal, totally. But like, your body is literally in survival mode. It's, especially as a woman, it's tired of being that lean. And once you start eating, your hunger hormones go nuts, and it is literally your body fighting to survive. And it is a very hard thing to fight, like mentally, physically. And so I feel like the people who have never stuck with a diet before, those people suffer the worst post show. And it's not that it's like aesthetically not pleasing to gain a bunch of weight. It is actually very impactful to your health. Like, you have to be careful. You can absolutely put on 20 pounds in less than a month. Like,
yes, you can.
Yes, it is very possible. You can put on 10 pounds in a week. Been there, done that. So yeah, you have to be very, very, very careful. And you're going to put on like a ton of visceral fat. So yeah, I think for that reason, the experience with dieting is the most important, because that post-show rebound.
Absolutely. Yeah, I just really, I can't stress enough, like, as a former coach, I've put plenty of people through fat loss phases, but I would allow them as a coach. I mean, they could always do what they want. It's a free world, but my RX to them was, 1 to 2 free meals a week. The less you have, the better. If you already can barely handle the 1 outside meal a week, you're already getting pushback from everyone in your family. You're really struggling mentally. How are you going to do this for 6+ months? Like, you have to be realistic with what you're getting yourself into here. If you only want to diet and be in a deficit for 2 or 3 months, I would recommend just doing a photo shoot. You could do a diet for 2 or 3 months, a deficit, some outside meals here and there if you keep them on the healthier side, and you could get ready for a photo shoot and look pretty great. Getting stage lean is a whole other animal. Like, there's a really big difference visually between like fit photo shoot female, like 14-15% body fat versus going close to 10%. The visual difference is striking. I actually am going to plug in a photo of what I look like, let's say this past year, like February-ish versus when I was maybe like 15% body fat, photo shoot-ish ready versus what I looked like, a week out. You'll see it's a totally, totally different level of dieting. Like it's next level. So that's that. We don't have to harp on that too much more. Okay. Finances, number 3. Do not go into debt for bodybuilding. Do not go into debt for bodybuilding. We have an episode, I'll plug in here what episode that was. We have an episode where we go into how much bodybuilding costs. But really spitballing this here, need a couple $100 a month for a coach. Would not recommend doing it self-coached because you don't know what you're doing.
Do not recommend, especially for your first one.
Yeah,
I think that's important to mention because Belinda did self-coach this year, but Belinda, how many shows have you done?
Not only how many shows have I done, I have been coached since 2017. So it's not only about, I have been coached like lifestyle coaching, like what you do for your clients. I was lifestyle coached for years, and then I was powerlifted coached, and then I was bodybuilder coached, and then I had to go through 3 or 4 contest prep coaches before I found one that I like gelled with pretty well, and then I decided to self-coach. So we're talking like 8 years of coaching I had before I decided to self-coach. So financially, you need to have the money to be coached. So there's that. For a few months, you need the money for the food and the supplements, because even though you're dieting, you're like going to be eating more in a way than you might be without the diet, because food is extremely important in bodybuilding. So you have to budget for the food, the supplements. And then you have to budget for your posing coaching. You need a posing coach. And then you have to budget the budget for the show themselves. And each show as a female is more or less going to cost you $1,000, more or less. Could be less, could be more, but more or less $1,000. So just be ready to spend the money. Do not do this if you do not have the money. It's not worth it. Wait until you're older and have, or whatever your situation is, and are more financially able to handle it.
Yes. And I'll also add to that, and I always tell people this on consult calls who come to me and they want to compete. You really don't want to bodybuild on a budget. Like there's just some things that you don't want to do on a budget, like tattoos. Like you don't want to go get a budget tattoo, right? Mm-hmm. Bodybuilding is the same way, because when you're up there and they're comparing you to, who knows, maybe 8 other people, 10 other people, and everyone else invested in themselves and you tried to do it on a budget, it's going to look like it. So, your bikini, your makeup, your hair, and a lot of people will think, oh, but you're judged on your body. Not if you're in a female division. If you're like, Correct. It's a whole look. And I have talked to girls time and time and time again, where judges have given feedback that you got to fix your makeup, you got to fix your hair, sadly, it's a whole look. Like, they just want you to look presentable. It shouldn't look like you just rolled out of bed and did a bodybuilding show. So you just want to make sure that you're in a good financial position to compete. You should be able to dish out anywhere from $3,000 to $4,000, I would say, your first show. And after that, it should get a little bit cheaper because you already have the bikini, you have the heels and stuff like jewelry. But your first show is going to be the biggest investment. So just be prepared for that.
Yeah, exactly. The first show costs the most because you have to get the bikini and all of that. And then you eventually, once you sort of have your supplies, you don't spend as much each time. But each of my shows this season cost me at least $1,000 between the registration, the flight, the hotel. Not that you have to travel your first year, but, it's an expensive sport. So have the money for it. Next. Time required for contest prep. And by time, I mean like physical time in the day. I'll take the mic to start this one. So contest prep for a female, the first one is usually like, let's say 6 months. It's your fat loss phase kind of goes in 2-month blocks. So the first 2 months, you should expect to train in the gym. By train, I mean weight train 5 days a week. And cardio, your first 2 months, let's just say first prep, 30-ish minutes most days of the week. In addition, you will have probably a step goal, and your coach may or may not include that in your cardio. Every coach has a different thing. So let's see. We're talking about training 5 days a week. Let's say the training is an hour. So that's an hour. You have to get to and from the gym. Let's give that 30 minutes each way. You get dressed and everything. So that's 2 hours total for the gym. You've got cardio. Let's just make that 3 hours, because even if it's only 30 minutes, maybe you had to get dressed for cardio or something. I'm just doing a hypothetical here. You have time for eating. So let's say you're eating 15 minutes a day, several times a day. So now you're up to 4 hours is devoted to your bodybuilding. You should be practicing your posing almost every single day. Let's add 15 minutes somewhere in there. So let's encompass that in the 4. Stomach vacuums, let's also bring that into the 4. Stretching, mobility, etc. So the first 2 months of prep, you're already looking at close to 3 to 4 hours a day, 5 or 6 days a week, before it's even gotten gritty yet. Okay.
Yeah.
Then the next 2 months, add more cardio. So maybe that 4 hours is maybe now 4.5 to 5 hours a day devoted to it. And then those last 2 months, it's usually balls to the wall, and cardio is usually twice a day, up to an hour a day, for a lot of first-time competitors. So towards those last month and a half of contest prep, bodybuilding takes up essentially every waking moment outside of your job. Okay. So it is a huge time commitment. It's again, the first few months, it's just like gym girl times 3. The last month and a half, it's gym girl times like 100. It's really because all you do is contest prep, really. Like from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to bed, taking out the hours you have to work, everything is contest prep related. It's a lot. And you might be asking yourselves, like, so how do people do this with kids? Because Brooke and I don't have kids. Since I'm a masters competitor, I compete with a lot of women that have children, many of them multiple kids. And how they do it is they all wake up at like 3 o'clock in the morning, 3 or 4 in the morning, and they do their bodybuilder stuff till the kids wake up at like, let's say 7. They get people out the door. They go to work. They do whatever they have to do. They put kids into bed, and then they often finish their cardio again at night. And it's incredibly stressful and incredibly difficult. So any of you gym girlies that want to compete, just know that you need a lot of time, or you have to find a lot of time to do this. Would you agree with me, Brooke, with my timeline?
It's like when I tell people on consult calls, it's basically like having a part-time job. Like you may, and also it's dependent on the person. I always tell people that too. Like you may only need an hour of cardio come close to show day to get ready. You might be like me and need 2 hours of cardio. That was a lot of time. So that was like, a big part of my day. So you just have to make sure that you're ready to commit to that, whatever it may take to get you stage lean. This is not the time to do a contest prep if you're working 2 jobs, in school, you just adopted a puppy, like, you know, whatever, you know, if you have a lot going on and you're already like almost burnt out, not the time to do a contest prep. Do a contest prep when life slows down a little bit.
Correct. I always tell like my gym friends that I have that see me in prep and they like are like, man, I'd love to do that one day. So these are already like gym rats, right? I would love to compete one day. I just want to do it one day as a bucket list item. And that is totally valid. You could definitely do that. And I always tell them, you need to do it at a time when you have like nothing else going on. Don't be like in the middle of trying to get a job promotion. Don't be like in the middle of, you know, planning a wedding. Don't be like in the middle of finding a new job. Don't be in the middle of like your kid graduating and you need to, you know what I'm saying? Just have it be, try and pick like a half year where things are more or less copacetic. Life is always going to throw you curveballs, but try and pick a time when things are pretty like easy-ish. Easy-ish. Okay, now we're going to go into the mental aspects of competing, and this is where we're going to get a little bit emo, and I'm going to be a little reality check for you guys, because I think that something that I regret about my first contest prep is that my first coach did not warn me about these things we're about to talk about. And if she had, it's very possible I maybe would have never competed. So I love competing. I do. But there are some mental aspects to the sport that are incredibly important to know in advance. Because again, if any of these you don't think you have the cojones to handle it or want to, it's not only about having the balls to handle it. It's also like maybe you just don't want to, which is totally understandable. Just do a photo shoot and call it a day. Okay. So we'll get into this a little bit. Why don't we start with the body dysmorphia?
Yeah, that's a good one.
We could start there. So I'll say that before I ever competed, I was in great shape. I'll plug in a photo of what I looked like before my first contest prep. I naturally sat like that after years of hard work in the gym, years of eating in my macros. And I was just like a fit gym chick, man. Like I looked good. How a lot of your clients look good, how a lot of my old clients look good. I was in the gym a few years. It looked great. Like felt fantastic. In contest prep, you take your body to such an extreme that it's very difficult to recover from that the first time around. Most people rebound horribly, as we already discussed with reverse dieting. So you go from seeing yourself in this level of leanness and muscularity that you've never seen in your life, and you see yourself like that. And then very quickly, after a few meals post-show, you don't look like that anymore. And it's extremely challenging to wrap your head around it. And not only is it post-show, but it's forever. And a lot of retired female competitors will tell you how like competitive bodybuilding gave them body dysmorphia for life because they just got so used to seeing themselves in that statuesque way that it's very difficult to like exist normally after that. And I know for me, I struggle with it a lot. However, I am very self-aware that this is like a bodybuilder problem and to like not think that way and just don't be hard on myself. Don't be hard on myself. But it's there. It is there. And so I know Brooke is post-show right now, so this is very fresh, very fresh for her.
Oh, yes.
But if you already struggle with body image issues, I don't think competing is a good idea. because not only do you take your body from like regular gym girl to very, very lean and superhero looking, then you have to reverse out of it, and it's usually bad and you gain a lot of weight, but then you have to build muscle, so you sometimes have to bulk and put on even more weight. And you're taking your body like this, and it's really not for everybody. It's a very challenging thing to do mentally. And it's not only your own body dysmorphia, but it's also the actual sport of bodybuilding. You are on a stage being judged. Your body is actually being judged. And that's what the sport is.
Yeah.
You will get off stage and the judge will tell you what's wrong with your physique. So if you're already a gym girl kind of struggling with body dysmorphia, I don't think competitive bodybuilding is a good idea, unless you have like the mental tools to handle what's to come. So that's my spiel on that. What do you think about that?
Yeah, it's very challenging. And I did notice that after my first show, is that you will always know how you look in peak condition, and you just can't ever really get that out of your head. Correct. And I do think for some people, they might associate what they looked like on stage with, their best look, that's the most amount of progress I've ever made. That was the leanest I ever was. And it can be harmful for some people. And like Belinda said, I do think some body dysmorphia is normal for everyone, especially in today's society. But yeah, post-show is very real. And like Belinda said, that is what I'm going through right now. Every day I'm kind of on a roller coaster. I wake up, I hate what I look like, and then I go to the gym and I'm like, actually, I don't look so bad. And then like later I'm like, oh my God, I'm huge. And then later I'm like, oh my God, I'm so tiny. Like, it's just a wild ride, because like, especially after your show peak week, like we've talked about on here, you're depleting water, you might cut sodium, like you're super dehydrated, like you're all carved up, you're pumped up. So it's like you get this brief little snapshot of this like just amazing look that you've accomplished. But once you just start going back to being a healthy, normal person, you drink water like a normal person, you eat sodium like a normal person, and you eat a healthy amount of food, you look completely different in just a week. Like that, I don't know how many times I've texted Belinda that, like, I don't know, God knows how many times, but I'm like, it's insane how different I look just within a week. And so it takes your brain some time to get used to that. I mean, I've made peace with it. Luckily, I've been a thick chick most of my life. So, I do like myself thicker. I like myself lean. Like, there's advantages to both. And like, I'm at a point now where it's like, I'm finally getting my strength back. So I've been like training like an animal again. So it's like, yeah, I'm thicker, I'm not as lean, like I don't have as many lines, but like, oh my God, I'm training like a beast again. And that feels amazing. Exactly. So you'll find ways to work through it. But yeah, like Belinda said, if you are in a dark place with your physique, do not compete because you think it will make you look better and love your body. It will not.
Yeah.
It will make it worse.
It would make it worse. Exactly. That's like what I'm trying to say. It's like, if you're already like a gym girl and you're already struggling with like body image issues, like to a point where it's a little troubling, please do not compete, because you're only going to make it 100 times worse. Because don't forget, what is competitive bodybuilding? At the end of the day, it's going on stage and being compared to other bodies. So on that note, the next thing I want to say from the mental aspect is be prepared to not win. Because in bodybuilding, you will lose many, many more times than you will ever win. And so if you are somebody that has trouble with rejection or loss, you're a sore loser, you can't even play Monopoly with your family and lose without throwing the board up in the air, this is not for you, because this is a subjective sport. It's not like soccer or basketball where it's goals or points being scored. It is subjective to the judges and what they think that day. So if you think you're going to be a sore loser and can't handle losing often, this isn't for you. It is not a sport to do with the fact like that you think you're going to win every time. You'll win sometimes, I guess, if you're so lucky. But many people never really win, I guess. I don't know. What do you think?
And I think the most important thing is you can't attach your self-worth to your placing. So, you know, and I had to catch myself with North Americans because I was doing that. I was catching myself being like, well, why am I not good enough? Like, do I really look that bad? Oh my gosh, like I can't believe it. I've worked so hard. I thought I had a great physique. I did have a great physique. I looked amazing. It just, I didn't win, but that doesn't mean that I don't look amazing. I didn't work hard. I didn't deserve to be there. As we've talked about previously, bodybuilding is just weird sometimes. And it's like, again, you don't want to be the odd one out. So it's like, I love being big, muscular, thick, like love it. Love my body, love my physique. So, you know, just because I didn't place how I wanted to at North Americans, it doesn't take away from that. So, yeah, so I feel like you can't attach your self-worth to your placing, and that's something all athletes struggle with. I think, you know, like whether you play soccer or whether you are a bodybuilder or a power lifter. So I think you just have to go into it with, like Belinda said, you can't go in to win because you're going to lose more times than you ever win, and that's bodybuilding. Only one person walks out of that show winning. So you have to remember that, and you have to be very clear on why you're doing it.
Yeah. Okay. I know we have to wrap it up. So let's, even though this is a big one, but we'll try and make it quick. Mental aspects that you need to be aware of. Are your relationships strong enough to handle you being in a contest prep? Let's just make this one 2 minutes because I think we'll have to do another whole episode on this in the future. But to my point that I made earlier about how if I was a prep coach, I would have people diet with no outside food for 2 months. Your relationships get very hairy in contest prep because your partners, your family, your friends, your colleagues, you essentially do not share an outside meal with them for months on end. And people get really bent out of shape over that. And it's not only about the food, but a lot of the time it is. It's not only about going out to eat. It's also about like the food in the house. If you're a mother, you're not eating the same food as your kids. Like it puts a strain on relationships that I can't quite think of anything else that does put a strain on relationships like contest prep, really. It's not only the food, it's also your energy. Those final 2 months, when you're super lean, especially as a female, if you're stage lean, you're not going to have any energy to do anything extra. So going on dates, not easy. Being intimate, not easy. Partner having a tough day at work and wants to talk about it, not easy. And it really puts a real strain on relationships. It really does. Because those final months like that, bodybuilding takes up every single aspect of your day. Friends that are used to seeing you every week, they probably won't see you for a few months. And it's really tough. A lot of relationships don't survive it. So without going into too much on that, I would say Brooke probably agrees with me. And,
oh gosh, yes, 100%.
If you ever, we'll wrap this up because Brooke has to go, but summary. If you are a gym girl and you're thinking about competing, these are the things you need to know when it comes to relationships. Make sure your relationship is in a solid place before you start. Have a conversation with that person or people before you start. I have this goal. I want to do this. This is the timeline. These are the things we can expect. Cross that bridge first. Don't wait until 5 weeks out and everything is crumbling around you and your cortisol is high and it's ruining everything. Try and have these conversations with those people in advance. So much more of a loaded topic than a few minutes. But anyway, just want to throw it out there that relationships, you must consider those before ever taking your gym hobby from gym girl to contest prep.
Yeah, you need a supportive partner. You need a supportive partner. That's why I waited to do my contest prep until after I left that toxic relationship I was in, because it will impact your prep. And if you have somebody who's jealous, if you have somebody who's controlling, if you have somebody who sabotages you, any sort of toxic issues in the relationship, I guarantee you that contest prep is going to bring it out. So make sure that you have a supportive partner. And if you have someone really good in your corner, yes, communicate with them and just tell them to buckle up for a few weeks.
And it's not only a romantic partner, but also family. Tell mom, like, I can't be eating that lasagna every Sunday. Like, you need to sit down and talk to people and tell them, like, buckle up, because this is going to be a few months where I'm going to be the strictest I've ever been. So again, a lot of relationships don't survive it. Romantic, family, friends, it's tough. But anyway, all of that being said, it's an amazing sport if you're willing to have the discipline to do it. And you take yourself to places that you've never been, and it's spiritual in a way. But we can go into the benefits of competing another episode. These are just the things you need to know before you ever consider it. We'll wrap it up here. Brooke's got to go because she's a busy bee, so we'll let her go. I love you lots. Happy reversing. You got this, girlfriend. Just keep on keeping on. You got this.
Oh, thank you. Love you.
Okay. Have a great night. Bye.
Too. Bye.